things that we're talking about tonight are changing lives daily. Before Me Too, if I would have filed my police report, I would have been laughed out of the precinct. And what's so refreshing is that so many men came forward. After I came out and even talked at the Senate, there were so many men who hadn't even realized that their lines had been crossed. Because what happens is a man, you brush it off. Oh man, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It happened.
Hi there.
What's up?
I was wondering, from your perspective, what's the first and best way for young men in particular to avoid displaying toxic masculinity?
Oh wow. The best way to avoid displaying toxic masculinity. First of all, you have to understand, men are pack animals to a certain extent. And there are people who pride themselves on this term alpha. Okay, so you have guys who are like, yeah, I'll run the place and everybody follows me and the whole deal. But the best way to really prevent this is you need a culture that respects people. And this is why I say this. The best, number one way to not display any toxic masculinity is to never speak for women, ever. Don't do it. I said this earlier, is the biggest, for me, the biggest equivalent of that is if we're at an African-American gathering that's about African-American issues, and then a white guy comes in and says, I'm going to tell you all about being black. And we would look at him like, okay, please get him off the stage. I mean, you did not have this experience, so, but this is what men do all the time. Men are all the time, no, it's just people, it's a human issue. Nope, there's no way I could say what a woman goes through. My wife can tell me what she's going through, and then I can relay or say, even repeat when she's not around what she was going through and what she told me. But if she's here, she can say it, let her speak for herself. What we need to do is hold other men accountable. And this is another thing too. I think when we're talking about boundaries, what I feel is so important is that there are all these little boundaries. And what I discovered that I don't make a wrong move as long as I stay in my boundary. My boundary is men. I'm a man. My boundary, another boundary is I'm a black man. So I can speak on behalf of black men. I'm not Catholic, so I wouldn't speak on behalf of Catholics. Because a lot of people are like, well, what about the Catholic Church? I'm like, hey, I'm not a part of that community. I don't know anything about that community. But I do know about the black church, and I do know about the molestation that goes on there, because I was a member for years and watched as, older men preyed on younger men and women. And it happens so often. We had a term where they said, don't let that dude turn you out. I mean, that's a phrase that happens so often that these are older men that were looking at kids in order to molest them. It's turned out. So I can talk about that. I've been there. I can also talk as a human being. So as long as I know my boundaries, I don't really and then another thing is I tell my story. And for men, what we need to do is stay within our own boundaries. Just talk about your community, the people you grew up with. The stuff because it's so easy to be like, yeah, look at them over there. And if they get their thing right, there are people who actually have hashtags called First Them. Hashtag First Them. How would you ever improve yourself if all you want to do is fix them first? And I go, that is toxic. What we have to do as men is look at our own behavior and see where we're making people uncomfortable, and we'll be good.
Just wrapped up down here at the ACWS press conference with Terry Crews, and this was an incredible conference. Seeing Terry face to face explaining his message gives such a better understanding of what he's trying to set out to do here. He's trying to be one of the few outspoken voices in Hollywood to discuss this, and I think what he's doing is absolutely incredible. It's an honor to be here.